Alright guys, so we are streaming now.
It's a black screen.
And we are back online live.
I guess we're gonna just have a black screen.
Sir, it's a black screen.
Why streaming?
What are you talking about?
Or like full monitor capture.
Why is it like that? It shouldn't be like that.
You can do a full monitor capture, no.
No, it'll chug. I can't actually run Unity and do a full monitor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Is it too many resources?
But why is it doing that?
Open it again. Just wait until the stream is online and check.
No, it's showing me like the top of my window up there. It's not synchronized. I don't believe it.
Yeah, that week 551.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Yeah, it's even worse now. You can't even see the bar. Is there a way you can reset the window?
Try using XSplit, sir. I think there's a free version.
Not today.
Well, yeah.
I'm not gonna goof around with that today.
There's a button that says edit stream or scene. Sorry. Is there any way you can like drag it?
Yeah.
No. Never mind.
You guys. The first two worked.
Video or broadcast?
That's fine.
You can't go to monitor one. On video.
You could just stop the stream and do preview stream so that it.
Old dog, new tricks. Okay, welcome back.
That's the first thing I heard.
Welcome back. We're gonna get to the main topic of today, which is this inventoriable, storable thing, right? We're going to want to be able to collect objects, interact with them, other than just by touching them or clicking on them. We're going to want to have other interaction routes, primarily like an inventory screen, a HUD screen, where we can drag and drop some thumbnails and click on them, or right click on them, or dock them into other panels, stuff like that. And really, we should be able to even see at this point that all that is just some more different opportunities for dispatching these aspects. They're just other events that we're going to use to trigger behaviors that we've already built. Right? It's just going to be a UI thing instead of an object thing. But once we have that, we'll be able to do things even more sophisticated than we have. We're going to say this is data. And we may need to add some accessors. We'll probably make this private later and have like an add and a remove. We need an historical because that's going to describe the thing that can be put in the inventory. Right? And this is also mixin, so we'll go back to it. Something like that. And this will probably have a thumbnail, like a texture 2D or something for the UI. We may revisit that. I don't think we're going to get far enough today, but that's enough for that. If something is storable, it implements a function. Collectible sword. Pickup sword. No. Collectible sword. There you go. That's our collectible sword. It's equipable, usable, and clickable, but what do we really want to do on click?
Store.
We want to store it. So what are we going to do? How do we do that? Add and is storable. And what's going to invoke the store method? No. Yes. Very, very good. Very, 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 very good. You're correct. I was wrong. You're correct. Store. We're going to have another use for equip and decrypt, but the first one is going to be use. So So right off the bat, we need to implement store. What does it mean to store something?
To add it to the list of stuff in our inventory.
So how do we know what inventory matches? Where do we get the inventories from?
Parent?
The parent. So this is an item that we've just clicked on or just done something with. We'll need a recipient, right?
Yeah.
If we're getting this from a click, what do we gotta do? Mhm. Right? Agreed? So now it's storable. Now we have a recipient for the store message. So we can get the inventories off the recipient. And we want to find the one that matches, because we may have more than one inventory. We may have a bomb bag, we may have a quiver, we may have a backpack. What object or what inventory, well then for all the inventories attached to the recipient, how do I know which one to put it into? How do I know which inventory to put this item into?
The one that has space?
Maybe, but we want to be a little more constrained with our design decisions for inventories. We only want to put things that belong in a quiver. We only want to put
Okay,
things
so
up.
name.
We want to do it by name, right? So just something like that, right? Matching inventory has same name. What does it mean to insert? Did we implement add on an inventory? We did not. Let's do it. Takes a what? Is storable?
So doesn't it storable by being a list already have an add though?
It does, but we're gonna make this private.
Okay.
Really, we're gonna make this private, but also viewable in the inspector, so we can see in the inspector, but we don't want to directly. It's kind of better not to directly short circuit the mixin. Yes, we have been doing that with OBJ on the inventory slot. We could be a little more rigorous. Okay. Yes, it's true. We could go inventory.data.add. There's actually some cool things we can do if we keep our accessor function names consistent across different mixins. There's some powerful things we can do. So let's try and do that. Neat. Does that work? Let's find out. Here's our sword. If I click on it, boink. Did it do anything? We can't tell because we made that private. Let's keep it public for now so we can debug. Does this actually work? We click on our sword, boink. Nothing? Oh, there you go. So we just added the same sword 3 times to our inventory. Is that what we wanted? What did we forget to do?
Remove the item from the game, C.
Ooh.
Check if we already have it in inventory.
Ooh, we need to do something.
Just hide the mesh.
We need to do something.
Oh, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
We need to do something. We probably don't want to kill the object completely because we may want to have objects in our backpack that still have effects. Because we may want to go to our inventory view and then interact with them while they're in our backpack. Maybe the object's gonna give us buffs while it's just in our backpack. Maybe it's got like radiation on it, or maybe it's like Navi and it says, hey, listen, who cares? Who knows? And it should still be alive.
God.
It should still be alive, but it shouldn't be a thing on the ground. Agreed?
Yeah. Could you not put it in the backpack and then stop rendering it, like turn it off?
I like that. I think we need to do the minimal amount of work necessary to turn it off and also have it not interact with things in a incorrect way. So we probably need to disable the collider in case it's touchable. We probably need to turn off the renderer. We probably need to. There's some small set of functionality we need to do. I think disabling the game object is probably too much because then we won't be able to interact with it.
And you won't get the buffs if you disable it.
You wouldn't get the buffs to disable it, right? We just want to see it. We still want it to do its thing. We still want its mix-in structure to still operate. So let's do that. So what we want to do, now the question is that the inventory's job or the storeable object's job? Who's in charge of disabling the renderers on the thing that is storable? The place where it gets stored or the thing that is storable?
The place where it gets stored.
So I'm going to do it in here. Okay. So what did we say? Renderers. Renderers equals what? ISS dot game object dot get components in children. Not parent. Who invented that function? Get components in parent. Renderer. Right? For each renderer r in renderers r dot enabled equals false. At this point, I usually add like a static class extension method. You guys done that in C#? Where you extend a class from some other file with another method. So I would do like a soft disable or some other kind of disable, like game object disable or inventory disable or render disable. Something that makes sense for the game rather than do it hard coded and inventoryable. That's we're a little bit kludgy for my liking here. I'm okay with it because we need to get this working, but we need to fix this. To do fix hack dhdh wrap this renderer stuff in a extension method. Okay. What else we need to do? No colliders. We need to disable the colliders. Have we put something in our inventory?
Also, I have a question. Would you want to actually, even though you're disabling the mesh, you'd still want to move it to your person because if you want to drop it out of your inventory, you want it to fall.
It doesn't really matter because when we do the drop, when we do the dequip, we position the mesh at hero's position dot 3 times forward vector. So at that point in time, we do that calculation. So even if we leave the mesh far away, it's not the end of the world. Maybe if we have multiple scene files, we might need to think about object persistence and things, but that's a different issue.
For
Yep.
disabling colliders,
Yeah.
we should maybe put an if statement if the object, like, let's say maybe we're, in the future we'll create another aspect called like a fora. So if they go into a certain range around your character, they might have an effect. So we might not want to disable all colliders on objects that are in your inventory.
Maybe that will be the right way to do that. If we're going to have area effects that use colliders. If we're going to have area effects, we might want to just have them do like a radius check and not use colliders. Maybe we will have colliders. I'm not saying we don't, but yeah, there may be some functionality that depends on the colliders being there, right? Like the clickable and the touchable has this kind of dependency. But for today, let's say we disable our colliders too. Okay?
Sounds good.
And then when we encounter those things, we will revisit. We know this is sufficient for what we need to do. So we consider it, but we don't program ourselves into a corner.
Is it just colliders?
Yeah, it's red. It's collider. It's not. Right. that should disable on click. Let's find out. Odds of this working. 25%. If we click it, boink, get in there. Hey, you're in there. And now that it's collider disabled, we can't click it again. Right? And we could walk onto it if we want to. So it's on our inventory. What if we want to now equip it from our inventory? Pardon me?
For the time being, we're crap out a lot.
Because we don't have any way to look at our inventory.
Sure we do.
Space, no?
Sure we do. Oh, it's that object.
Wait, what? Oh, well, you're doing it.
Oh, I thought
He's doing
like,
it from the higher
yeah,
level,
yeah. I
so
thought he was gonna.
If we have a way, if we know we can send the proper message with the right interface, then next week when we put the UI and the canvas on, all we have to do is have our buttons send messages to the right object, and it's all going to work. So, is there something we can do with this game object with its colliders off and its renderers off? Is there some use? Can we use this object in a way that it knows how to equip itself?
We can do toggle.
Toggle equip, which is bound to what? Equip?
Well, equip, which is toggle to the use, which is through click.
Which is through use, which was through click. So we'll do it on a button click. So next week. Now, because we're not going to do button clicks today, but you're right. There'll be a button click. We'll say use. Use this use to equip it or dequip it. How can we simulate? How can we spoof that button click?
Just a
We've got this use me flag, right? But how many uses do we have on our object?
one.
Oh, so we're going to have two uses on our object. We're going to have two uses on our object.
You have one equip, one decrypt, right?
One for the toggle equip decrypt, and one for the store it. We'll probably need a store. We'll probably need a store to change to toggle store, right? Store meaning put it in inventory. De-store meaning like
Well, actually,
dequip.
wouldn't it be more decrypt would be store? Because most games, when you decrypt something, it goes straight into inventory, and then you have one for throw away or like.
Very good
drop.
question. Very good question.
Yeah, we can have it like a drop method or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we need to
Instead of-
revisit that.
Yeah.
But I think we all agree there's some kind of inverse function to store, unstore, equip,
Yeah.
decrypt that we'll have to refine so that these two can work together.
Yeah.
And then you'll unequip back to your inventory or something like that. The problem right now here is we have two different uses for our object. One of equipping it and one of putting it in our inventory. They're both uses, but we need a way to uniquely target one or the other. That way we can have one button do one thing, one button do another thing. How can we uniquely target a use?
I would take a function, like in the function pass the parameter which button is clicked for what use.
We could. With what we have right now, is there any way we could target a specific use? Do we have a way of targeting a method? A method, even though it has a certain type, can we target a specific mix in some other identifier? Like in the inventory, how do we know, how does a storable object know what inventory to go to?
It has a name.
As a name. So how could we uniquely identify a use?
Name.
Okay. So what I want you guys to add for next week is a second use. Okay? I want one use for equipping and one use for storing or for pickup in the inventory.
Sir, can you go to